Okay guys and girls, welcome along to a brand new video on my channel. So I thought, given the fact that my channel is normally full of just stupid race highlights and awful Fortnite streams, I thought I would try and do something a little bit more productive and talk about a new feature that's on the new game for Formula 1 in 2018, which is the ERS management system. Now, I know a lot of people are a little bit cautious about this whole thing, and a lot of people that I know on Formula 1 are mainly based around league racing. So hopefully, I'm just going to do a little short video just to hopefully give you guys a better understanding of how the ERS management works. Now, obviously there is an option to do this automatically as part of the assist menu in this game, as well as obviously managing your fuel from lean to standard to high. But to really maximise your times in league racing, and for those that do take it seriously, ERS is going to be a massive feature for this game, and I think it's going to be quite overpowered as well. So first of all, there are a few different things that you need to be made aware of. Obviously before we go out on a lap, looking at the steering wheel at the moment, the obvious things there are the battery percentage, which is obviously the main thing that people look at when it comes to the ERS management, and to be honest with you, you're completely right. So as you can see in the middle of the steering wheel there, it says 100%, which obviously means that the battery is on full charge. As you progress further around a lap or over a period of laps in a race, depending on what your deployment level is, that will obviously start to come down, and then in other areas you'll be then looking to sort of save the battery, and I'll talk through how to do that for you. But if you can look at either side of that 100%, so to the left you've got a full white bar which has got a D next to it, which actually means your deployment. So this bar to your left and the one to the right, which is the H, which is the harvesting, they will both work and sort of counteract each other, but they will always reset after one lap. So although it gives you an indication of what you're doing, it only really benefits you if you're looking at it over the course of one lap. After every single time you cross that start-finish line to begin your new lap, those bars will reset. So not a lot of people will look at those. Obviously, the more battery you use, the lower the bar on your left will go down, and the more you're saving your battery, the more on the bar on the right will go up. So it's quite straightforward. Anyway, underneath the big long blue bar, as you can see, it's got a 0 next to it. Now, with the ERS management, you've got options 0 all the way through to 5, so 0 being none, 1 being low, 2 being medium, 3 being high, 4 being overtake, and 5 being hot lap. Now, I'll talk through how to manage each of those and what the benefits are and what the negative parts are to using all of these settings. Now, basically, the big long blue bar is purely just the same as what it used to be for the KERS system. And obviously it just gives you an on-screen indication of where your percentage is at the further that the race goes on. So you can either choose to look at the battery percentage or the bar underneath. It's basically like a race-long KERS system, if you like. So we'll obviously I'll just go around a couple of times of Canada. Don't pay too much attention to my cornering speeds or anything like that. I'm purely doing that just to show how the ERS management system works, and we'll go through from 0 to 5 and when's the best time to use them. Right, so going into Grand Prix mode now. We've just gone as Lewis Hamilton, obviously being in the Mercedes where we was in the garage. So the first thing I want to speak about really quickly is how to manage your ERS at the start of a race. So if you're someone like Lewis Hamilton, who was expecting to probably be on the front row of the grid as a minimum, and you find yourself maybe in P5 or P6 like they've put me in here, then what you want to do is obviously turn your car up to rich as you are getting ready for lights out, and then obviously keep the car in hot lap. And I would say you want to keep the car in hot lap for maybe about half of the first lap of the race. The reason for this is because you don't want to let your battery level get too low too quickly. So if you was to put absolutely everything into your first couple of laps and let your battery get down to nothing, then obviously your power deployment is going to be significantly less than those that have managed it better behind you or in front of you, enabling them to either catch up or pull away. So obviously at the start of every single race that you've got, whether it's league racing, career mode or anything like that, you will always find yourself in a position in lap 1 where you get through maybe the first sector or the first half of the lap, and then things start to settle down a little bit and you take a little bit of shape. Now that is probably then the best time to put your car down to maybe low or to medium, because you're not at serious risk of being overtaken and the cars in front of you aren't going to pull away because they're queued up and they're going a little bit slower than what they normally would. So I would only ever say go for about half of the first lap in hot lap mode and rich, and then maybe pop it down to standard, and then the ERS management level down to either low or to medium. So what we'll do is we'll just progress on now. I'll find a little bit of clear air on the track, and then I'll just talk through the different modes from 0 to 5. Okay, so starting off with none. So none is obviously by far the worst option to use with regards to ERS management. If you're in none, you only really want to be using this if you are in complete clear air, you feel in control, you feel comfortable, and you feel like you need to preserve a little bit of battery life. But please bear in mind that you will be significantly slower than what you will in any of the other settings. There's a huge difference between none and low. The only time to really use none, I would say in other circumstances, is if you are going into like a slow speed corner when you're battling with somebody that you know that you can carry a lot more speed than through that part of the track, and you don't really need to be pushing because it's not an opportunity for an overtake, and you don't really feel like you're going to lose any time to them. But one thing to bear in mind is on the exit I would always put it up to medium, just so you get a relatively good bit of acceleration out of the corner. Perfect example would be this one here. If I felt like I was quicker than somebody, I would get around the corner in none, save a few percent on the battery life, pop it up to medium, then I've got a good opportunity to push for an overtake in a slipstream or with DRS or something like that, and then I'll pop it down to none for the final chicane again, go through the final chicane, pop it up to medium, have a good exit if you know somebody struggles through that part of the track, and happy days. So if we move on to the low setting, so low is probably the best one to use in terms of saving your battery life. So low is also good for other areas of the ERS management, which I will explain a bit later on in the video, but using low is probably the best way to preserve your energy, and it is significantly faster than having it in none, because you get a hell of a lot more energy deployed to your vehicle from having it in low than what you do in none. So I would probably say if you're in a position where you need to save your battery life very, very quickly, then I would 100% say have it in low as opposed to none. Moving on to medium, I would say that medium is probably the best for people that aren't too comfortable with the ERS management. It's kind of similar to what it used to be in the last game of having your fuel mix just in standard, where you're not really burning too much fuel, and you're not particularly comfortable with managing it yourself too much. One thing to bear in mind is that you will just kind of maintain a consistent pace, but if you come under pressure and you're still in medium, you will end up being a sitting duck to those that can manage it a little bit better than you. So I would encourage people to use this only really when you're kind of cemented in a specific part of one of your stints, and then maybe have a little play around with it to get a little bit more confident. But medium is really just the kind of safe option. You won't really have to manage it too much. You might have to save a little bit on the tracks where are a little bit longer with some longer straights, such as like Baku or Belgium, somewhere like that. But yeah, so that covers medium. And finally high. High is probably the worst setting in my opinion, because it's not particularly that much faster than what the medium setting is, and it really does drain your battery life. If you just watch us go down this straight here, if I put it up into rich, you can see that coming down so much quicker than what medium does. So we've lost, what, pushing 15% by the end of this straight, and to be honest with you, we're probably only carrying maybe a very, very small amount of miles per hour more than what we had in the medium. So I would say that you should avoid none and use low, and avoid high and use medium or one of the higher options going forward. That'd probably be my best bit of advice, everybody. Right, moving on to the overtake options. So you've got overtake and hot lap, which are your two kind of your big dogs, if you like, when it comes to the ERS So I'll just wait for Jeff to stop talking. Thank you, Jeff. So overtake is used for more top end speed. So I would say when you're in from, I don't know, maybe gear 6 to gear 8, I would always have the car in overtake as opposed to hot lap. Hot lap is really, really good for the lower end gears, so maybe gears 1 to 5. So when you're looking for good acceleration out of a corner, or when you are catching somebody in front of you and you really, really want to push out of, especially out of a slow speed corner, then hot lap is the one to go for. Once you then reach gear 5 and you're looking to change up to gear 6, go down to overtake, because that is the one that is a lot more effective when you are at higher end speeds. So overtake is really, really good for when you're looking to max out your top speed, and you've got your hot lap one when you're looking to really gain out of a corner. Like this one here, as we've just come out, if I've got somebody in front of me, I'd pop that into hot lap and I would absolutely fly up to the back of them. So overtake is really, really good for what it kind of says on the tin. Hot lap is the one that's good for putting you in the position to overtake. So going into the pits now, the one final thing I would say about the ERS, always put your car into lean and put the ERS deployment down to 0, just so it saves a little bit of charge. Obviously we are on low because we've been recording a little bit now, so it's going to have drained a lot of my battery. But one final thing I want to say, when you come out of the pits, whether you're looking to get an undercut or an overcut or something on someone, or even if you've had maybe a spin and you're looking to maybe catch up to the field, what you've got to remember is that your grip is going to be significantly better than the other cars on track at that moment in time. So you don't need to go into rich and hot lap. And when you get to the point then where, say you've pitted a lap before somebody else and they're coming out the pits and you've absolutely drained your battery by trying to catch up to them and get a massive gap, when they come out the pits, if they've got a better battery percentage than you and they've got more ERS to deploy, then you're going to be a sitting duck when they catch up to the back of you, because you've wasted it all in trying to pull a gap by the time they get out of the pits. So what I've found from personal experience is by keeping the car in standard and then even in medium, is effectively the same as having it in rich and maybe overtake or high before your pit stop. So what that will do is it will save your battery life, and it will also enable you to maintain the same sort of speed to the car that you're essentially battling on track. Right, so that puts an end to my ERS management video. Thank you all very much for watching. Please like and share this around. If you need any more help with anything, please let me know. Thank you very much.